Hey guys, it's Monday afternoon and this is another Speedway chat show. And here's my mate Charlesy.
Yeah, good evening everyone. Welcome to Monday night Speedway chat show alongside, Jerry Sims.
Yeah.
How are you, Jez?
Wonderful. I don't know if anybody watched on Saturday. We did an impromptu Speedway live from Plymouth. We was there with some of the guys from Eastbourne. We're there riding and we did a live chat with them. And then we did our own little thing where we roamed around and we had video transmitters and stuff so we could actually roam around at the actual Speedway, which was quite cool.
Yeah.
And if you can see, me and Charlesy have both got merch. We've got merch.
Thanks
and
to
it's come
corporate
from
connections.
Corporate connections. So we'll tell you more about that in the coming days and things like that. So yeah, we've got some of this. You can buy this, I think. We need to speak to Simon, the guy who said about it. I think there's a thing with his website that we don't have anything to do with it, but you click on to his website and you could buy Speedway Chat Show stuff, which is going to be quite cool. It's going to be happening and we'll release that as it comes out. And we also, this is a first video, which is sponsored by Speculate to Accumulate Speedway, which is... they're helping us with some funding towards advertising to get the videos out to more people. And yeah, it should be a great little addition to the show. And we're going to get it out to as many people as possible and get chatting about Speedway.
Yeah. Back to the Plymouth. What a day. And if you are watching at the moment, just let us know that you're on. And any questions, we've got great guests in terms of a technical guest tonight. That gives the top world riders the tools to go out and do what they do. So it's going to be good to speak to Ashley. But down at Plymouth, if you were watching, Kyle Newman had a pretty big crash that we caught live on the Speedway chat show. Popped his shoulder out, and remarkable, that man just goes back in the pits and pops it back in. I borrowed his hat at the start of the day. I just never gave it back. So I'm going to call it a gift off Kyle, which is good. But I strapped it in on the way home and took a photo, if you've seen that on the feed. But I must mention, I was highly impressed. Now, if you're a HD Aerospace Engineering Limited Eastbourne Eagle fan, you must be highly excited about the prospects of Tom Brennan. The young kid has so much natural talent on a Speedway bike. It was absolutely amazing to watch. I've spoke to him since just to say that, look, I think what he's doing, the way he presents himself and his bike is good. So he said thank you as well. He's got Craig Cummings under his wing, who was instrumental in Billy Hemmel's UK career. And the Duggards are right there as well. So one to watch for British Speedway. A real good kid to watch on a bike. So remember that name. I think he's going to go really, really far for the UK and Team GB if he sticks to the sport. So if you're watching, Tom, mate, it was a pleasure to watch you riding at Plymouth. Yeah. So we are.
Cool. So, like Charlesy says, get your comments in. Let's get the video out to as many people as possible. Obviously, it doesn't cost a thing, but commenting and sharing is... like the best way for getting more engagement, getting more views. Yeah. And that's what we do it for, isn't it? We do it because we don't get enough attention in the daytime, do we?
Yeah. And look, I think the Speedway chat show is all aspects of Speedway, so it's not going to be a rider every single week. But tonight, I think is going to be fantastic insight to the world of the top Grand Prix riders that use Ashtec's engine service, and the story behind how Ashtec got to where he is today is absolutely a good one in itself. So we'll get talking to him very, very soon.
Okay. So shall we...
maybe now then.
should we go for it?
Yeah, let's go for it. Look, tonight's guest, Ashtec, is a world-renowned Speedway engine tuner. Cut his grass in the early days at Swindon. That's where I know him for. Used to call him Teddy. But today, he's the shoulder charger. Let's bring him on. All the way from Poland is Ashley Holloway.
Hey, Ash.
Hey, Ash.
Boys, how we doing?
Yeah.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, not bad. How are you?
Shoulder barger. Are we going to get to that straight away?
Wow, come on, mate. That's one of your best moments. Engine tuners are normally in the dark, aren't they? But not you.
Mate, I think that's got about 17 million views on on YouTube or something like that.
To be
and when
fair,
you scroll,
I reckon it's Scott and Emil that got the views, and you just happened to run up the tunnel at the right time.
No, but what I'm saying is when I go through and I have a look at the comments, I tell you, there's some nasty people out there.
Oh yeah.
After you?
Exactly.
Why,
there was one on Facebook there was one on Facebook the other week, and I put something like, what a twat that guy was, or something like that.
So
brilliant.
So look, it's you're with Emil at the time doing Emil's engines, and I think you still do Emil's engines. But goes to show that the heat at the moment, and the teams around the Grand Prix circuit, we do see boys sticking up for each other, Ash. But did you just see red? Because I don't think you had any beef with Scotty before that, did you?
No, nothing, mate. It's just, but like you say, you in the Grand Prix, you're just one team, aren't you? So it was kind of that season was, that was some of the best moments in my life in that year, and I wouldn't change it for anything. But just that in particular moment, what people didn't see was Susie, Emil's manager. He ran up the tunnel first and gave Scotty a little shoulder barge. And I thought, well, he didn't do that very well, so I went again, and then it was just. But yeah, no, it was the wrong thing to do. I shouldn't have done it. And I rung Scotty the next day and apologised. And yeah, we're sweet. He rode an Ashtek engine a couple of years ago, so we're all good.
Oh, did he? Oh, excellent.
Yeah.
Right. So before we brought you on, you would have heard your story's quite remarkable in terms of where you've ended up. Ash, like I know you from the late 90s when I was with Watto, and you were at Swindon hanging around cutting your teeth, mate. So for people that don't understand how you got to where you were, just a brief sort of, your family's got a massive name in Speedway as well. So just run us through, the journey to where you are, I guess.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. When was that? When did that? I think it would have been 2000, right? You was with Frank Smart. Yeah. And that's at Swindon, and I'll never forget that year. I remember I was working with Klaus Christensen, and I think it was Jed Stone. I think that was his name. Yeah. Jed Stone was the promoter at the time, and I was on my final warning because Klaus had like 3 punches or something that season, and that was it. It was the mechanics got to go sort of thing, and it was kind of the end of that year. Klaus said, "Hey, I was trying to become a Speedway rider back then, I suppose." And then Klaus said, "Why don't you move to Denmark?" So the end of 2000, I moved over to Denmark. Tried racing in Denmark, didn't work out. I'm a little bit too big for the for Speedway, and it was kind of funny. I was ready to pack up and leave Denmark and come back to England, and I was walking through the town in the town where I lived in Fredericia. Now I was actually going to the English pub. Literally the next day I was booking my ticket, and I was walking through the town, and there was this massive bus with like a tent out and that. And I went and had a look, and it was Nicky Pedersen's bus, and they was filming like a year's like what had happened in the season that year for Nicky and stuff like that. And I popped my head in there, and I got talking, and then basically we hit it off, and he offered me a job. Worked for him for a couple of seasons, then went to Cargo. That's where the engines side of things happened. What did we do? 2.5, 3 seasons with Cargo. Then I moved to Poland with Andreas Johnson. Did a season with him down here. Then the end of that year, 2007, I opened my own business, Ashtek, and that's pretty much it, mate. Met up with Emil 2008, 9, and just slowly built it up since. So that's pretty much it.
Do you know what? I remember when we found out that you're actually going to work for Nicky, and the group of us mechanics that used to travel around with the Premier League and things like that, we all had a good laugh, and it was big news for us. It was like Ash working for Nicky, and then we heard the money that you were on, and went, oh, it makes sense now.
Yeah. Nicky was here about 2 weeks ago, and we actually spoke about that. I was like, you know what, you took me for a ride those years, but now we're all sweet. He's cool, man. He's good.
So look, just quickly on Nicky, what a guy to sign for Sheffield, bringing world-class Speedway back to the UK if we all went ahead. So regardless of what happens this year, I hope he does a similar thing next
year. He'll come, mate. Yeah. He'll come. He's keen. There's not, it was a pretty random, really. Like Steady rung me up, said, "Oh, we need a number one. We want to go large." And I was like, "Oh," and I kind of just randomly mentioned it to Nicky, and he said, "Oh, yeah, I might be interested. Get him on the phone, sort of thing." And that's how it all started. So, fingers crossed. From what I'm hearing, there is light at the end of the tunnel. There might be some racing soon. So, yeah, I think Nicky will definitely be involved, mate.
Yeah, perfect. So,
because Nicky's actually going back to Denmark, isn't he? In between meetings now, where before, like just a couple of weeks ago, they were saying that you've got to stay in Poland, you're not allowed to leave. But he's actually going to and from Denmark now, and he has to be tested every time he comes back. Is that right? Or
I think so. Yeah, and there's like a 2 day. You get the results after 2 days or something like that. So
right.
Yeah, I can understand it, mate. Look, it's been tough for everyone, right? But you got to take your hats off to the Extra Liga over here. What they've done just to get some form of the sport. No, not form. Get Speedway back up and running is amazing. And I actually text Wojtek, the president. I text him a message because it filters through to all of us, right? The riders are riding. Okay, they're not on the money they were on, but at least they're riding. We've got work on, so it's pretty cool what they've done. So
yeah, I was going to say that they've had to take a pay cut. So are the engines only revving half as much, Ash, or are you charging half as less?
Rev limiters, mate. They come in this year. We're all good.
Let's talk about your rise, because there's been a lot of engine tuners and there's guys out there that can service engines. How did Ash Tech, obviously your experience with Nicky, and then Brian Carger and but I know as well you're only as good as what you think if you think you got the best equipment. So what was the turning point for you, Ash? Which rider was it? And do you remember when the phone started going pretty busy?
It's quite funny, mate, because it's I remember when we all know it's Emil. There's no hiding that. When I started working with Emil, that's when my career kicked off. But when he won in Prague 2009, the first GP, his first GP, the phone started ringing then, and I'll openly admit I wasn't prepared for it then. I didn't have enough experience to meet the expectations of guys that it's tough, man. It's tough. It's not easy. You've got to be on the phone when they need it. You've got to be able to provide them with, and you've got to have answers for it. And back then it was kind of like I wasn't experienced enough. We were so focused on what we was doing with Emil. It was hard to take anything else in. So that's when it kicked off. And then obviously. Then going into then working close with Steady, actually, I worked hard with him and learned a lot from his feedback as well, and that all helped to build up to where we are today. So
yeah, it's just for me, it's a real, and I've been looking forward to this chat because I think we might educate a few people that might have misconceptions about the work that goes into an engine. Are they all the same? And we're hearing riders, but I read a story back from 2000, I think it was 2016, when Chris Holder rode one of your engines, and SGP publicized this big thing. He's not going to leave PJR, which is Peter Johns Racing, although he tried one of yours, and the reason he did is because Vaculit was on one of your engines and appeared to be going good. So there's a lot of psyche behind it as well, isn't there?
100%, mate. 100%. That you even from today, a few of my guys had good results over the weekend, and the phone's been hot today. Or can we get some stuff? But it's the same in any business, anything you're going to do. Results matter, right? It's not like that. That situation with Chris was also, Vasulik's flying and then you do something similar for Chris, but it doesn't work as good, or again the experience thing. So it's a funny game, man.
Yeah. I came out to your place before and we did a video. I think I might have posted it on our page, but there's a video that I did with Ash where we went through the engine, literally every nut and bolt laid out on the table, and we put it all together. And he was saying that, you can set an engine up to a particular rider and they go, yeah, it's great, it's the best engine I've ever had. And then another rider could go and take that exact same engine and it doesn't suit their riding style or whatever, and it's then completely, not the right engine. So, how do you deal with that, Ash? Like, when you're like, right, this is gold, this is the engine to have, and then somebody else turns up, like you say, like Chris, and it doesn't quite go as well as it was for Vasulik or whoever.
That's not the biggest problem. Is trying to decipher what the riders are actually telling you, and this is
right.
But this might sound daft, but it's true. When I go to a meeting now, first thing is I have my headphones on, so it cancels out all the noise around you because you're trying to focus on the guys that are riding around. But as a mechanic, especially with these new silencers, it's as if the noise travels a different direction, or it's a different noise that you're hearing to the rider. So he could be going around the track and he's pinned it and it's screaming, and you think, oh, okay, he's going to come in and he's going to say he's spinning. But he's hearing a completely different noise from the carburetor. The carburetor dampens out the exhaust noise that he's hearing. And, then through the covers, and they hear completely different things to what you hear. So you're when you can try and understand what they're trying to explain to you, then it makes that's one of the things that I've learned over the last few years. That's why things have started going better, because you're able to pinpoint, okay, well, this is what you mean, or in my world, this is what he means. This is what we need to do, and try and work it out. So it's not easy, man. And there's no
reverse engineering it.
Yeah, but there's no technology or anything that can. It's the only motorsport in the world, pretty much, where you have to spin the wheel to go forward. So once you've worked that one out, then you can move on.
And I guess, look, it's really hard to get any sort of data as well, because we seen Lesno the other night at a track that probably wasn't recognisable to people that have been to Lesno plenty of times before.
Yeah.
In terms of the grip levels, then and engines are a fine margin in Speedway on the surfaces. So how do you challenge that in terms of, a rider saying, look, I need an engine for this, I need an engine for that, or are they using the same one and dialing it in?
It's always, you always get one that goes a little bit better than the other. And you can ask any rider, once they've got one engine, and they've got confidence in that one engine, they'll pretty much ride it everywhere. Chris was here last week, and that example of his in 2012, unbelievable. Yeah. That thing was like just going everywhere, and then dropped a rod in the bloody final.
In the final.
How lucky was that? But that's how it is sometimes. But I am setting stuff up for how I think it should be done. For if someone orders that specific engine, then yeah, of course we'll do it and do it how it is for that track. But most of the tracks are slick nowadays, Charles.
Yeah, a lot of people have said that. So I guess my curiosity around it, Ashton, I'm not saying this as I don't know, and I know a little bit of science behind it, but I think what a lot of fans might boggle is the lap times aren't getting any quicker.
No.
Yet everyone's chopping and changing and trying to find something new. Are riders, I guess the question might be presented, are riders asking for something that still does a 4 laps of 60 seconds at this track, but they want the first, 400 yards to be quicker than it would and then slow down? Like a lot of people say Greg Hancock, great out of the start, but never gets the speed up. Are riders asking for something in particular in terms of that? Because no one's going any quicker over 4 laps. It's all the same.
No, and the gearing ratios now, which people are pulling compared to what, it was always something that I struggled with my dad, because he would always talk about, the tracks were like grippy and we had this sprocket on. I said, Dad, but it's not like this anymore. It's a different world. But they, it's just got to do the right things. And that's one thing that I've learned. If the engine, I've got a certain criteria now of engine that the engine has to have these things. if it does this, it should do that. So it's not really people are saying, oh, we want something good from the start. Greg was just better than most people. He just knew what to do. So he knew that if he concentrated, Greg did stuff with his bike that guys nowadays, he was amazing with that, and you could see his bike just go pop off the start. There you go.
Yeah, he mentioned his chassis, and it's really your mind boggles when you hear these things, don't you? About I got a chassis that works, and I'm thinking, well, aren't they just all Stewards or Jowers or
mate? Not only that, but having the confidence to pull it off.
Yeah.
Being able to say, right, okay, I believe that much in this stuff. This is going to work, because a lot of the times what happens in Speedway, and you can see that now with the engines, what people go down, oh, well, he's on that, I have to follow suit, or he's got a Jawa frame. Well, that's, having the confidence in himself to be able to do that was quite amazing, because his bikes really were a lot different to what the other guys were running.
Yeah, I remember when we was out at your place and you was explaining, and obviously I would never say the things that you said to me, but Ash was saying to me, like, telling me the difference between what comes in a box from GM to what goes out for a GP engine. There's lots of different things going on that, and obviously all the engine tuners are all doing different things. So I just can't imagine that they would go, right, well, that's the engine, and just carry on riding other things, like. And when we spoke to Greg, he was, saying about his chassis, and he rode different wheels. He had all sorts of things that are all different, And I think, I don't know enough about the GPs, but, I imagine those bikes are nothing like what you can pick up from Bellham's or whoever sells bike parts now,
No, another thing, Greg always was working with the tires as well, yeah. So he was, always testing the different tires. Not that I actually worked with Greg. It sounds like I didn't. I just but I was always looking at what was going on and stuff. And but yeah.
So, it was quite funny, actually. We did the video with Darcy, and Darcy admitted on the show that he's like, yeah, Dakota North snapped a photo of your back end, and I had it copied here in Australia. And he admitted it to him on the show. He was like, yeah, we were getting photos slyly and copying what you were doing.
Crazy.
Mate.
Ash, who's in your stable now, Ash? Just so the people at home know the riders that you're working with.
Louis?
We got a shout out for brother Louis in America. Thanks for tuning in, bud. Look, it's hard to say exactly, because most guys have got engines from everyone, right? That's how it is nowadays. It's not like but we've got people that are solely focused on my stuff. We've got Emil, Martin Vasulik, Patrick Dudek. Who I've got all my nice pictures from the winter. Brady, Rapid Red sent me a nice fork cover. There's too many to mention, mate. A lot of guys have got my stuff. They've just got one or two engines, but we've got a.
I got one over here. I got one.
Yeah,
I've been promised one.
We'll get it in the post, mate. I've got some old cases and stuff. We'll get you some built up.
Wicked. Because look, Peter Johns. Right, I remember being around when Lee was on Peter Johns and going good, and then Chris won on Peter Johns, and the psyche is Johnsy had the kit as well. Do you see troughs, week, hot and cold sort of months of the year, or you think, God, that rider hasn't been back for a bit, or anything like that goes on, Ash?
It does, mate, but it does, and you can't. There's something that I've always learned it's something I've learned the last few years, that if the riders are complaining, there's normally a reason behind it. Like there's something not quite right. So if you ignore that, that's when you kind of have these periods where people go off. You know what I mean? Well, you didn't listen when I was trying to tell you something was right. Do you know what I mean? Like that's kind of how it goes. And the rumors spread, that engine's not working too good. So you got to be on your toes, and try and keep them happy, keep everyone happy. That's how it is.
Right, go on then. Who's the biggest whinger, Ash?
Biggest whinger.
Charlesy.
Biggest whinger.
Profession. I'm trying to get the answers.
Biggest whinger. I'm going to no comment on that one.
Can you show the framed article that you've got in your workshop wall, or no?
Save that for a rainy day.
Right. So, listen, we've got riders in the UK that are up and coming.
Yeah.
What's your advice in terms of, it's a big expense engine, so just the service. I guess the amount of money comes around the cams and the heads and the porting and trying to get that. So I guess, we have a few young riders that watch the show, and obviously, is there a time period you need to service your engine, or it depends on how hard you ride it, Ash? What's your sort of advice to guys to get the best out of their kit?
Look, this should have been these rev limiters should have been bought in, and I like Vatch and all the guys at the BSBA, but if this season runs, they should have been in. They should have been in 20 years ago. The rev limiters, that 80% of the engines blowing up now are just because people are over revving them. You can't expect an engine to stay together when you're revving at 15,000 RPM at the start line. It's the piston speed at that RPM is just too much for anything to handle. So the rev limiter, if you can afford it and you want to get them in this year, then do it. They're running them over here. There's not been any problems. No one said to me, no one's. A few people are revving it, but they're using it as an advantage. They're pinning it at the start line to kick it, letting the limiter kick in and then going. So that should have been bought in years ago, mate. And educate yourself on your air filters and stuff. There's lots of videos. I did actually a video a couple of years ago or a year ago with some tips for people coming up, and how to look after your carby, how to get your engines running better with stop vibrations from your frames touching the engine, and looking after your air filters and stuff. So educate yourself on that stuff, and the engines will run fine, mate. It's not. It's I
think what we should do, Charlesy, is if all the Grand Prix is going to be done in Poland this year, we should go to Poland for a couple of weeks and get all the Grand Prix out of the way, and come to Ashtex, and we'll.
I'll just take time off work, shall I, Jess?
Yeah, ask the missus; she'll let you go.
But you'll be more than welcome.
It'd be cool to go and make some videos of what Ash is saying. Not just for us, but it'd be cool for the youth to be able to see.
Oh, look, I've reached out. I've reached out quite a lot, because this is something that the components nowadays, they don't fail. If you buy a decent engine, you're obviously, I can't say they don't fail. You have the odd occasion, but if they're looked after, these things will run for not forever, but you know what I'm saying. If they're looked after, if you've got good oil, good filters. You're not over revving it. It's just the basics of any motorsport. If you look after your kit, it will look after you. I
never over revved anything
until you bike hit your mum.
Hey, let's move on.
There's obviously been innovation around the engine sides, but we had a question. Let me just find it. On the weekend, we've seen a young kiddie running the hydraulic clutches. Have you had any sort of input to those in terms of are they here it goes here, what does Ash think of the new hydraulics? They look really spongy, but the bike, apparently Freddie Lindgren and Leon Madsen's running them, is that correct? Or
I'm not sure who's running them, but yeah, maybe you're right, maybe Leon's using them. It's a funny one, I like to keep things simple. If you there's two, in my opinion, it's just my opinion, guys, but in my opinion, there's too many things that can go wrong. I've heard horror stories last season of the mechanics, not bleeding him through, or there was something with the pistons were around the wrong way or something on the, and it's just, keep it simple. Keep it simple. That's all I can say. And if you got money to burn, then buy it. But I'm pretty sure cable's a lot cheaper.
So that's a no then.
That's a no.
we got there.
But the thing with the cable though is, I remember years ago they used to say about the flow of the cable, had like a big thing. Obviously with hydraulics, you're not going to get any of that. You can run your cables wherever the hell you want because it's a pipe and it's fluid. I remember
consistently. Obviously, it's a better thing, but there's just more things that can go wrong. Again, if it's not well maintained and stuff like that, and if you maintain it well, again, it'll work fine. But just
that was the thing around the belt drives as well, though, right, Ash? Because
correct.
They're good, they're smooth. You can hear the engine so much more, but it's the maintenance side of it as well, and keeping it squeaky clean. Yeah,
exactly, and that again, getting back to just keep it simple. That's all you got to do.
Yeah, perfect.
And you don't actually see many of the Grand Prix riders riding with the belt drives either. And and at that level, they're not worried about the expense, are they? And their kit's immaculate, so it's not.
All Speedway riders worry about the expense.
I don't know. I think it's like when we spoke to Ty, he was saying about marginal gains and things like that. If you're going to put that much effort into training and eating well and doing all the things that he's doing, are you then going to scrimp on not having the best thing if it was the best thing? Is what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah. Some riders are different from others. There are other people that will just, it doesn't matter what it costs, get it done sort of thing. But there are other people that are more sensible with that side of things, but each to their own, right? It's who am I to say, you need to do this or need to do that? It's each to their own. If they're comfortable with what they're doing, then that's fine. But there are guys that and that's also another problem with the expense side of things. You can offer in motorsport. It's the same in anything. If I offer at someone a GM piston or a Cosworth piston, 9 times out of 10 they're going to take the Cosworth piston because it's not a standard piston, whereas they perform both the same. So each to their own, isn't it, really?
But you put an extra 50 quid on the Cosworth one.
I don't make a lot on them, mate.
And a sticker.
And a sticker, yeah. Nice box.
So just if we can glaze over it. So just to give guys an idea, every setup's different. So I guess your pricing structure, your service is tailor-made to a rider. So no two engines are really going to be the same. But just say I go to Aztec and you do me a super duper engine. What's your advice to me? I'm riding at the Grand Prix. What's your advice to me in terms of amount of heats that gets rebuilt, and what's a cost involved in a general service, if you can sort of say it, Ash?
Look, I on the first service, if it's a brand new engine, I like to strip them down a little bit before, around 30, 35 races, just to make sure that your conrod hasn't gone oval or stuff like that. There are some things inside that can go wrong if you don't catch it before it gets too late, if you know what I mean. So I like to do it, but then I just say to the guys, look, if the compression's good and the engine's performing, 30, 35, 40, whatever they want. But the level of riders over here, mate, they don't want their engines to go. They'd rather send them in earlier, just in case your piston's cracked or your springs broke, or do you know what I mean? That's kind of how it is. But Stevie Worrell was a good example. I think 2 seasons ago, mate, he used to do 40, 45, 50 races on his engines, send them over. Was never any problems. Corey Gattercole, you remember Tugs?
Yeah.
He actually forgot. He actually got it wrong once, and he put the wrong engine in, and he ended up doing like 100 races on this engine, and he didn't know any difference. Like he didn't. So again, it's like that. Again, it's each to their own, isn't it? If someone thinks that they want to get an engine serviced earlier because it's maybe they're going to maybe it's going to perform that little bit better, or it's up to them. I don't really want to go into the price side of things. That's fine.
Mate.
That's like we don't.
But I just undercut you, Ash. That's all.
Mate, I look after my boys. I think I look after my boys. Like if there's, I try my hardest anyway to do the best from it.
Oh, look, I appreciate you not wanting to. It's just sort of for the people watching to get and understand that the cost, regardless of whether you're in the Grand Prix or you ride in the Premiership or whatever, these engines do need similar sort of work.
I think we worked it out. I think I worked it out over a season. I think it was around, with your engine expenses, I think it worked out around between 20 and 25 pound a heat.
Wow.
To run a Speedway engine. I think it was something like 45 pound a race but that's with all your expenses. So that's your van insurance, your diesel, it was something around that. It's not a small amount. It's not cheap. It's not cheap. So I think the engine side of things was I think it was around 22 or something, 22 quid or something like that.
Okay. Accurate.
No, sorry, not a race, a meeting.
Meeting, sorry. Right. I was going to say that.
Yeah, wow, it's a race. Okay. What am I talking about? Yeah, meeting. Sorry, mate.
A race.
Sorry, something like that.
A question on the screen there. What's Ash's feeling on the GM 250 compared to the Jawa 250 and jetting them? I'd imagine.
He'll have to ask my mate Broomy, because I haven't done a 250 Jawa.
Yeah,
I've never done a 250 Jawa, so I've done a few GMs, but
we've got one here. We've got a GM here.
Looks like someone's hit it with a hammer on the top there. It's a bit smaller.
Right. So here's one for you, Ash. I don't know if there's any truth, and I'm not quite sure whether you do a bit with Crumpy, don't you?
Oh, that's great news. What? I hope he comes back. We're trying to get him into Poland somewhere.
Right, yeah. Right. I don't know if there's any truth to this story though. There was a Grand Prix.
Is this the Mark Lemon one?
No, God, no.
All right.
There was a Grand Prix. It's about engines. There was a Grand Prix in Melilla where Crumpy was gone. Then it got to a semi or the final, and it was rerun, and he didn't go as good as
he missed the start. It didn't go off.
You know what I'm talking about? No.
Nah.
There was a trip. There was a thing going around that the engine was built for 6 races.
No. He was, mate. This was before the titanium days, right? And it was also, before we all did all different valve seats and stuff like that, mate. He was an animal, and you couldn't keep a valve seat sealing for him. It didn't matter what he did. He was just absolutely full chaff, and they just couldn't hold to it, mate. And that was one of the first baby engines that I made, and he loved that thing, but it was one of them.
You remember that meeting, don't you? Yeah.
Oh, I remember it. Yeah, I remember him ringing me after. He got I think he had a 15-point maximum and then missed out in the semis.
Got rerun, didn't it? And he reckons, the rumor was you build an engine for 6 races, and because of the rerun, it went soft.
No, listen, I wish it was, mate, but it wasn't that. But it's a true story. But he did. It was always an issue for me with him. And how can you tell a 4-time? Yeah, the K got.
Oh yeah.
That means yes.
Yeah. Where was we? Crumpy. Yeah.
Crumpy.
It didn't matter.
How do you tell him?
You just can't, can you? How can you tell a 4 times or 3 times? How many world champions did he win? 4, yeah?
He's won a couple, hasn't he?
3, I think.
3. Yeah. You got to back off the throttle a bit, mate, because you're killing the engines a bit too. It wouldn't be a problem nowadays with the titanium valves and all that. All the valve train moves easier. There's not so much stress on all the parts, so it would have been all right. But yeah.
But these are the stories that go down in folklore, don't they? Like, I remember growing up as a kid and hearing stories that Ivan Major went over to someone and paid someone to drop a point so Ivan would win this, and just whether they're true or not. But the Crumpy one is always stuck in my mind, and I think
really?
I actually bought it, as in Oh, bloody hell. Reruns.
Oh, sorry, mate. Have I disappointed you?
Yeah.
No. I did actually hear that one, but it wasn't. It wasn't true. It was just hard for me to I think we were servicing them after every meeting. Oh, and it was with them stupid silencers as well.
Right. Okay. Blame it on the silence.
That didn't help.
So we got some photos here.
McFlurry is brilliant.
So we got this is in Ash's workshop. This is a busy day. Ash.
Yeah, that's a Monday.
Wow.
And we got this one.
Yeah,
on the driveway. Is that just for one rider? How many is that? 1, 2, 3, 9. 2 lots.
Yeah.
18 engines.
That's Emil's for the year.
Wow.
Speaking of Emil, Ash.
Yeah.
Before you go on, this is about Emil, but Ash, can you just explain this photo?
Oh, some of my fondest memories here. Right. So that one on the left with the black Aztec badge, that was the first ever engine. Yeah, that was actually a Kaga engine. That was my first engine. So when I finished working for AJ, basically I finished in August, and AJ said, look, you can still live here and use the workshop, but to get by, you can start doing work for other guys. So I reached out to Emil, and he had these Kaga engines, and we changed that one for Ostrov in 2007. And that was the first meeting he did, and he won the world championship on that. And that's kind of where the whole Emil thing started. And then 2008, that was the engine. There's another good story behind that. So I went to Lezhno with that engine, and Lee Adams tried that for me because Emil was doing something. I can't remember. Emil was away in Russia, I think. And before I took this engine to Lee, and he said, you know what, if that thing had a bit more at the end of the straight, that would be quick. So we changed it, and then Emil won in Pardubice on that one.
That's the under 21 world title, isn't it?
Yeah, so that's those two, and then obviously you can see written on it. It says Kershko 24 points, and that was the one he got, and the Bydgoszcz track record, which he's still got, I believe. Yeah. So yeah, that's that engine.
It's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
It is.
And they're all in Emil's workshop, all ready to run, just sat there like as trophies, I suppose.
Yeah. Emil took a break from the SGPs. Done the Europeans. His reasons, no doubt, but geez, he's a breath of fresh air coming back. That kid is he's pretty special in terms of natural talent, but then we see what he did last year, the wall of death. Like, you think Tony Ricardson didn't think Cardiff.
Wait a second.
Oh. Is it going to work?
Might do.
Is it going to work? Oh,
we've got video.
This is unbelievable.
Yeah, if no one's seen this, then where have you been? This is.
This is. Yeah, but watch. He goes to third in a second.
But you know what's some riders do it one lap, and there's kind of like, that was scary, mate. He knows exactly what he's doing. It's not like, he does it for 3 laps, absolute solid. Look where he is. Look.
How many views did this video get, Ash? When you filmed the TV, didn't you?
Mate. I think over 100,000 people have watched it on my Facebook. Unbelievable. Just look.
Look at it. Oh.
But
like he knew it was going to work, didn't
he? He knew exactly what. Oh my God! My hairs are standing up watching this, but it's just unbelievable. Like
he's not winning here, is he? He can't win from here. He can't.
What a ride!
From there,
then he does this. I think the inside shot is the one, isn't it? Where you just see what the hell. Where was his footrest?
Honestly, like speechless, mate. How can you do that? It's not normal, is it?
No.
And And that was like, and it was so annoying because that was off the back of a bad Grand Prix, man. We was all spewing because, you know, the Grand Prix hadn't gone as well. And then he goes out and does that. So
look how much it meant to him as well, didn't it? But it's
well, he couldn't do the last race. I think his emotions have been like that high. He was just like, oh, you know, all right, I had enough.
Did they show the inside footage, Jerry? Or?
I'm just looking for that now.
Right.
Here we go.
Oh my God. It's just like.
And are you sure?
That's all down to
Are you sure
engines, isn't it?
He meant to do that.
Of course, mate.
Oh, mate.
You don't do it 3 laps in a row.
I can definitely confirm it didn't matter what engine he was on that day. He would have done the same, you know. That was just unbelievable.
Could have cycled around there.
Now, here's one for you that I don't think you're going to agree with me, but you might see where I'm coming from. Apart from the body language, if you take the rider away, would you say Leon Madsen and Emil have a similar directive in terms of how they get what they get out of a Speedway bike?
Say that again. I've got to be very careful with this answer. I need to concentrate.
If you take the actual rider off the bike and the two bikes could go around, one with Leon and one with Emil, do you think the bikes behave similar? Because those are the two guys that get ridiculous amounts of corner speed out of their bikes. Are they doing something similar? Do you know what I mean? Like, they're so smooth, aren't they? They're so smooth, and their bikes are upright a lot. Yeah, so they're getting a lot of tread down, but they're silky smooth. It's only this that's changed.
You just pretty much said it yourself, mate. You know, to just get it up on the tire as soon as they can.
Right. So
no, you're correct. Yeah. You're correct. Yeah. You know, if you work it out, they're probably traveling a bigger distance overall when they're racing, because, you know, they're going out wider, turning back, wheel on the tire, but they're just going that little bit more faster, right? So
is there any truth into the multiple Leon Madsen engine inspections in Grand Prix?
Oh, mate, it's true. They fair play to Phil Morris and the SGP team. You know, there was a lot of rumours spread around about Leon cheating and stuff like that, and if he was doing anything wrong, there was, without a doubt in my mind, he would have been found out last year. So you can only take your hat off to Leon for what he's doing, and because, you know, that was I don't know, whatever they found, whatever they've got with his engine tuner, it's working real good, and there's, you know, we can't. They really would have, because everyone was pushing the guys at the SGP. Look, something's not right, you know. And they did everything they could, and go hold your hands up and say, you know, he's you know.
I guess the questions are asked because when you go back to Nicky, when Nicky won and Lee Adams mentioned it, that, you know, Nicky was just on fire, out of the start, gone and quick. Leon's doing the opposite. Not, you know, maybe 7 times out of 10, he's doing it from the back and with some sort of ease at times as well. So is that where the questions arose, because he's passing whilst doing it, you think?
I think. Oh no! Hello, Auntie Jean. I think they're different riders nowadays, mate. You know, you just got to look on their social media, like Ty was saying. You know, they're just training that hard, and I don't know, but I can't imagine Leon weighing much more than 56, 57, 58 kilos.
Tiny,
maybe I'm completely wrong, but he's kind of, he looks like trim and stuff. And, you know, you get, I remember, and people might,
that's me.
People, oh, bless you.
Good.
People might disagree with me on this, but the reason why I say it is because I remember in 2009 when Emil hit the scenes, everyone was saying the same. Oh, Aztec's cheating. You know, they're doing this, they're doing that, mate. We didn't do anything that was, you know, we didn't do anything wrong. You know, we engines unless, everything was legit. But I just remember Emil he was just a kid, he just come in and beat everyone, and it just upset everyone, like it was, I can't do, he's riding up people's back wheels, he's went to Gothenburg and or to Slovenia there and got a maximum. So I know when everything clicks, it can look like that. Emil was passing people for fun back then, so kind of got a tiny bit of sympathy, not too much, but a tiny bit of sympathy for the rumours. But Leon's the sort of guy, like he's the sort of guy that lives off that stuff, That just gives him more determination to do it. But yeah, it was the same with Nicky. When Nicky I was with Karga when some of the years when Nicky was going good, and it was the same then, he's cheating, but it's always going to be there, yeah.
Gordon McDonald, how's the new NX GM coming along?
Yeah, not too bad. That's gone on the back burner for a bit because obviously now with the season starting again, but we'll catch up with that again. I just see a comment about Leon. Yeah, it's true, and I agree with that. But
that one.
Oh, and that one. Yeah. I know with the silence of things. So
right.
What was Midlow's? Yeah.
Good old Midlow. Hello, Midlow. Oh God.
You've got to ask if you ever get Doyley on the chat. You've got to ask him about what he did to Leon in the pool pits.
Oh, okay. Well, if we can get Jason, I know he's concentrating on his racing at the moment. So, I did have a message from a very famous ex Speedway rider today, so I'm working on that. So, in terms of your
Ash
business,
knows. I was on the phone to Ash earlier.
I'm going to try and I will try my hardest to tee the team up for that.
Right.
That would be
perfect. Yeah, that would be. Yeah.
I was on the phone to Ash when you texted me earlier.
Yeah. Hi, Neil. So in terms of COVID, we did speak before we come on. So a lot of your work would have been done, but is before the season. But I guess your business has branched out to other avenues as well. You were saying into car heads and things like that.
Yeah, I've got some photos of his day job during COVID. This is where he learned his trade.
Oh, that's it.
Wow.
That was cool. That was a little trip down to my daughter's preschool, so that was cool, just to show them what we do, and that was cool.
Oh, man.
Yeah, but no, we obviously when I like you were saying earlier, this sport's up and down. So in 2015-16, I invested in some new machines and started branching out into different areas. So we've got a lot of work with car racing heads and stuff that we do with a German company, and that's kept us busy. Obviously, Speedway, from whenever it was, it just completely stopped. But look, this season's about surviving, right? If we can all survive, that's the main thing. Let's just get this out of the way so we can try and get some form of normality back for next year, right? The riders have took a hit. We're all going to take a hit. That's how it is, right? But just try and survive, and
And so, how accessible are you as one of the world's leading engine tuners for someone in Britain to pick up the phone and go, look, I want to try one of your engines. Ash, is there availability with yourself, or your books are pretty full?
We're pretty full, mate. But I'm always, we're always open to we're always open, mate. So it's not like, if I the thing is, I'll have 2 or 3 weeks where I'm absolutely flat out, and then it will die off a bit, and you can squeeze some work in or something like that. So it's not, through Facebook I get a lot of inquiries. So
okay.
So
well, obviously good. This is going to put your notoriety right up there. You've been on the Speedway chat.
This is the start of all things to come, I'm sure.
So if anybody wants an engine building or servicing, contact Peter Johns.
Yeah,
there you go.
Keep it local.
Great Britain, great again.
Oh, here we go. Another one. We've had some people say they want more questions answered, so we're trying to flick through them. Do you work it for yourself? Do you work yourself on every engine, or do you delegate to members of your team? Good question.
So I do all the flywheels, all the honing, all the valve seat work. Then the engine's put on my bench where it's all inspected. My worker then builds it up to puts the head on, and then I do the rest. So basically, he's just putting all the parts together, and in the meantime, then I'll be back on doing someone's crank or something like that. So
I remember when Boise, because Craig Boyce had CBR, Craig Boyce Racing Engines, was doing a few local ones, and Jay Hearn was the apprentice, but his job was more washing down the engines.
There's three of us, so we're fortunate enough. So we've got someone else that helps us as well. So yeah, it's that's how we do it.
Right. So you would do the technical side. So you've got your labourers, so to speak, that can do the basic stuff.
Mate,
it's not going to. Yeah. Okay. Oh, great.
The
great
problem,
question.
I'd like to be able to do. I'd like to be able to do it all, but the problem is, you spend half the day on the phone, consulting with people, trying to, keep everyone happy. So it's difficult, and I don't like talking when I'm working. So go on then, Jerry.
Me. No, I'm saying FaceTime me as well.
Jerry, yeah.
Oh yeah. True.
This is look, there's always an element of rider, but is there more in the rider than in the machine? I think the top 16 in the world on the right dialed bike are pretty evenly matched, aren't they? Everyone's looking for that little edge somewhere.
100%, mate. But I think this is, this is kind of a. It's always been like this, right? It's always been, as long as I can remember. There's always been progression in stuff, right? So, you'd like to think that anyone in the top 16 could get on anyone else's bike and do the same job. So yeah.
At that level anyway, right? Yeah.
At that level, yeah.
I remember going to. I was very surprised. So back in the early days when I first went to the continent, and the rider who I was with was doing long track, we stopped in at Hans Zerk's place to pick up an engine. Just a Ford dealership. Walk through some mechanics, and then there's just a Speedway engine room. I was expecting a bit more, to be honest. But at the time, Kelvin was on Zerk's and winning everything. And if you didn't have a Hans Zerk engine, you weren't going to win. Is that still some mentality, or because the riders share engines, is there an outstanding engine tuner? I guess the question is at the moment.
No, I don't think so, mate. I don't think so. Like it's.
You don't share stuff though, do you?
No. No, I to be honest, mate, I don't talk with anyone. That was one thing that I stopped a few years ago. I don't have any contact with anyone else because it's kind of like,
it's a little bit like what Ty was saying when he goes to Nicky and he says, "Oh, what gate do you want?" No, Nicky's going to turn around and is he going to tell him the gate that he actually wants, or is he going to tell him the one that he doesn't want to throw you off?
And that just answered my question. I haven't got time to be worrying about what the other guys are doing. So am I worrying that they've told me the truth, or so I just decided, I'm just better cut in contact with everyone and concentrate. If I concentrate on my stuff, then I know that I'm the only one to blame then. Yeah, I've done the best I can and there's only myself to blame. So
well, we've learned a lot tonight. You're not playing rugby anymore, which is good for the kids watching. Yeah.
Oh yeah, for the Should we watch that? We can watch that.
Yeah. I think you lost weight since then, though, Ash, haven't you?
No, I don't know. I don't think so.
For anybody that's not seen the incident between Ashtec and Scott Nichols, here it is.
I don't think the move was that hard that sparked it, to be honest.
You know what the funniest thing about this is? On a personal level, right? Because I'm really good mates with Joe Screen now. So he got into him, didn't he, Emil? Oh, there we go. Yeah.
Yeah, the head went back, didn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So we missed the Susie thing, but you reckon it happened?
No. Susie happens in a second.
Oh, does it?
Susie goes in first, right? And he tries the shoulder barge. So there's Screeny.
Oh, there's Joe there.
There's Screeny, right? So there's Susie. He goes in and he missed him.
Split-second decision.
So I'm good mates with Screeny now, right? The Screeny, you could see him walking up to me, and he gets ready to lump me. He goes like that, and he goes to, and then he just grabs my. He stops just before my nose, grabs my glasses, and throws them on the floor.
Oh, is a good one. 2-part question. Have you ever worked with Team GB? And do Lesno have a sole engine supplier?
Have I ever worked with? We did a little. I wouldn't say with Team GB, but we obviously my connection with Steady. We were always in close contact, and when was it? I helped the guys out. Where was that? Was it? I think Kings Lynn. We did some stuff for some of the boys there for a World Team Cup or something like that. And the Lesno thing, I wouldn't say a sole engine supplier, but 6 out of the 7 riders that ride for Lesno ride my engines. So that's kind of it's not.
It's a majority.
It's a majority, but that's kind of I've got a close connection with them boys. So with the bosses of the clubs there. So yeah, that works.
Struggling with the way the track has been lately, dusty and all.
No, love it.
Love it.
Right. Well, there you go.
We've got a shout out here. Got a shout out for
too passionate. Chunky boy, too passionate now. Yeah. Slightly rich coming from him. But...
Lost sweat and dyed his hair.
Dyed his hair. This is all natural. Curls.
That's why I wear a hat, Ash. Well, listen, mate, it's been a privilege to have you on and give us an insight to the world.
Hang on, there's one more.
2 seconds.
Shout out, Frederick Jakobsen said hello as well, I think. We say hello to Frederick. He's a good kid. He was there somewhere, wasn't he?
Sorry, Jez, am I jumping in on the hour too quick?
Yeah. There we go. Frederick Jakobsen.
That was a classic. He brings all the beers for me from Denmark. He brings them down. So top bloke.
Oh, happy days. No, just before we do go with Ash, there's one thing I wanted to say is was it this winter, Ash, you did the bike?
Yeah.
So over the winter, Ash has actually restored an old Godden upright engine, which was it the same as your dad had?
Well, yeah, it's pretty much the same. It was the best I could do, mate. Is obviously there's a few things on it that aren't that aren't how it was, but for what we was going for, mate, that's how it turned out. Shout out to Broomy. You can see the engine. He did all the vapor blasting for me and on the tank and the engine, and then Matty Sewell with the old polishing. Bit of a legend on that, he is.
Well, I've got some photos of that as well. I mean, like that's what that's the before, and that's afterwards.
Unbelievable, mate. Unbelievable. Every single spoke was polished, man. Every nipple, everything.
Yeah, it's impressive.
Amazing. That was nice, mate. It was kind of one of them. What happened was my mum sent me over a box of stuff, like old scrapbooks and stuff, and I don't think I ever appreciated how good my dad was. Although he wasn't a superstar, he was a good level rider. So we decided to. It's in my office. It's actually right there. We decided to do a bit of a tribute bike. So yeah, all good.
Wicked, fantastic. It looks good.
Yeah.
Well, amazing, bud. Amazing. I was looking forward to tonight, and hopefully the people watching get an insight to what goes in and the stress that is behind the scenes to give them the right tool of the trade, I guess.
Yeah, I hope it's come across all right, mate. And yeah, like I said,
it's been brilliant.
Always on the Facebook, mate. If anyone needs anything, so yeah.
Perfect, mate. It's good to hear from someone at an elite level in that world, because it is a secretive little world, and you're right in the heart of it as well. But you'll be having a world title with Emil in the future, no doubt.
Just a world title would be nice. That's the aim.
Yeah.
This
nice one.
You got to get it going. So yeah, cheers. Thanks a lot, guys.
2 seconds before we go, there's another photo. You got some legends that pop into your place. This is, I think. Did I take that photo? I can't remember. Someone took it.
We haven't been there yet.
Billy Hamill. I've been there a few times.
Yeah, but not together.
Billy the Bullet.
Look, there I am, right there.
There we are.
Yeah,
perfect.
Yeah. Right.
All right, no problems.
It's been great. Oh, we've got 11 comments. Here we go. Right. All right. Cool.
All right. Cheers, guys.
We'll let you go.
Cheers, Ash. Cheers. Thanks, mate.
If you stay in the background, Ash, we'll chat after.
Yeah. Okay. No worries.
Right,
cheers, buddy. See you guys.
Cheers. There we go. So,
perfect.
So another Speedway chat show over. I want to say a massive thanks to Accumulate for sponsoring the show.
And Corporate Connections for the
Corporate Connections for the t-shirts, and we'll give you more information on what's going to happen with that in the coming weeks. We've got, what else have we got coming up? Got anything else coming up?
We'll find something.
I've had 4 different riders contacted today about shows over the next few weeks, so we can have a little bit more prepared.
Sure.
Yeah, and we've got some good ones, and especially if the one that Childsy was talking to earlier comes off, that will be possibly the biggest show that we've done so far.
Moving goalposts all the time, though. So awesome. Hope your Monday night's well. Thanks for tuning in. Special thanks to Ash Tech for his insight to the world of engines and Grand Prix engine building. So thanks very much. Stay safe from me. Good night.
Yeah.
And from Jerry.
Good night from me. Yeah. Tell us if you like the show in the comments. Just put in the comments you like the show, or if you don't like the show, tell us it's shit. Hello, plumber. There we go. Yeah. Right. All right. Adios. See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.